walked around the trouble till I got my education and I got it right. But you know what? Something that I didn't do right. Keeping a job. Now I gotta get another one. Don't get mad. Just get another one.
Please,
I had to tell myself, life is a test. Don't play with it though. If you wanna make it or something in life, you gotta have patience. You gotta go to school, right? It don't come overnight. I wish it did, but it didn't. But everybody know what you do. God watching everything, so you better listen. You better stand the book and get the scripture. Talk about Proverbs being a man. Ask your mama what Proverbs mean. It'll teach you how to be a man. I had to be a man. I couldn't let nobody tell me the wrong thing. I had to go to school, listen to my mama and my daddy and everything. So that's why I'm somebody. If you wanna be somebody, you better keep on listening to mama and daddy. Cause they gon' tell you the right thing. They ain't gon' tell you nothing wrong. They don't wanna see you do nothing wrong. That's why we're here with you today.
What's that? What's that? What? 1, 2, 3. Hey. What's that? Yeah. Woo. Hey. 1, 2, 3,
biography. Are you keen on gerbils or geography? Gardening or ghosts, sharks or science fiction? There's something here for everyone, whatever your addiction. There are students revising deep in concentration. And school kids doing projects, finding inspiration.
That's y'all. That's y'all.
There's a table with seating, so come along and join in the book club reading.
Book club, book club.
Just come to the library,
book club, book club.
and help make sure just to be here tomorrow. Yeah, wild alive.
Wild alive. Wild alive.
Okay.
Library.
Y'all got me.
Yo, Holmes, what's up? What's up with you? What we're gonna say? What we're gonna do? What we're gonna go? What we're gonna see? Where we're going? To the library. I'm moving down the aisle with my homies in tow. We're moving in the hole of the library and go. She checks us out from behind thick glasses. We walk right past and we wiggle our Hemingway, Lawrence. Shakespeare, Miller, Fitzgerald was a freak. Taylor was a killer. Quiet, please. Quiet, please. The silence is golden. Books I am beholden. I know I'm bad because of the knowledge I beholden. And I give you a warning. There will be no repeats. Get out of my face while I'm reading my keys. At the library.
Wild alive.
At the library.
Wild alive.
Ain't got it in your eyes, cause if you still do, you can be bored out your class. Teacher be like, what's that in your eye? You wash your face this morning. Boy, you better wake up, do your education work and stay motivated.
Hey.
Listen to the teacher, you can do whatever. I'm talking about as far as being a doctor or a lawyer or an entrepreneur. Whatever you can be, you can put your mind to it.
Hey.
Don't think too much about it, just do it. Do the right thing, cause that's all you're supposed to do. You ain't gonna do nothing what you rather see the people do. You know why they do that? Cause they don't listen. If they can't go back, they will. But they can't. So you gotta stay in school. Wake up in the morning, look up in the mirror, get the stuff out your eyes. Realize you wanna be somebody. You wanna be the best at whatever you do. Keep your head up and make your mama and your daddy proud. And your aunties and your little cousins and nieces. They wanna.
A lot of people throw shade just to keep you from shining. Your man just set the play for the riches and diamonds. No inspiration in the city, but I gotta keep writing. My friend of mine lost his mind and he can't seem to find it. I want the finer things in life, just my taste is exquisite. I got family doing life and I ain't paid them a visit. Our conversation ended when they were given a sentence. Confined to solitary, but I choose to be distant. I walk a lonely road alone, knowing what I've been through. It's hard for me to smile with all this shit on my mental. Extended clip, perfect fit, and these bullets won't miss you. You know this chopper with this shit, slide rip through tissue. I don't trust niggas enough to vent out my struggle. The ones most wicked, the quickest to judge you. I'ma be up soon enough, cause I got too much hustle. When you know that you can make it, it's so hard to be humble. I guess the true colors show when a nigga ain't got it. Niggas without the same vision, stay watching my pocket. That loyal person on your side can change for profit. I got people in my life when I knew they was toxic. The life I'm living now ain't close to what I imagined. I was good with the music, but I lost all the passion. The devil fighting for my soul, and you damn near had it. It do something to your spirits and your man's in the casket. The old me died right along with my homies. I'm sipping while I'm whipping, I got shit spilling on me. Put around in his head like Milo Ginobili. I ain't think that I was strapped, goes to show you don't know me. Without a question, I'm clutching at any obvious beat. To keep it 100, I'm blessed, them niggas gunning for me. Leave a hole in his chest and leave his best in the street. Took the cruiser through his flesh and he stepped rest in peace. Took the cruiser through his flesh and he stepped rest in peace. Took the cruiser through his flesh and he stepped rest in peace. I'm giving you insight on what's bothering me mentally. And with that being said, please bear with me. It ain't a mystery that today's leadership lacks inconsistency. My leadership is here to stay, and no one can get rid of me. The leaders of today only show their faces when something tragic occurs. They're yet to show action, but we accept the endearment of their words. The so-called leaders of today would rather be seen and not heard. I was taught that actions speak louder than words. And when they have yet to show action to the problems we face, I don't hear a thing. If anyone doubts whether or not dreams come true, just look at Dr. Martin Luther King. Why is violence often assumed when we hear obtaining freedom through any means? We see past our current troubles, which is why the cage birds sing. Yeah. Today we're blessed with many rights that our ancestors didn't have. We all want change, but don't care how we get it, which is why we're detached from our past. In the words of Martin Luther King, we're free at last, free at last. Well, today we're free of oppression, as police brutality places another black man in a body bag. I am no longer blind to the fact that actions change in accordance to time. The enforcers of the law are the ones committing crime. In response to multiple acts of police brutality, y'all crossed the line. Then had the nerve to say Sandra Bland committed suicide. The African American race is slowly being erased. This is potential genocide. I ain't gonna question life because everyone has to die. Caged as animals for so long, we just became personified. I had my eyes on the prize, but I had it snatched from my very eyes. We're not given the same opportunities as other ethnic groups trying to read between the color lines. They're segregating blacks and whites through death, and that's the price we pay for being black. No matter how far we come, we're not too far away from the past. That's a fact, remember that. Slavery still exists, we just slaves of the state. Our lives belong to the system once we become inmates. The majority of blacks are in prison while whites remain in the state. Some things are black and white. Open your eyes. The use of law and justification is segregated. Most blacks don't watch the news because it's too depressing. But sometimes watching the news can teach us a lesson. It can keep us from doing something wrong that we were planning to do, but at the same time providing us with information on what's going on around you. A lot of people don't want us to watch the news in order to blind us from the truth while taking away our will to live and diminishing the spirit of the youth. Don't just hear me, listen and learn. I don't care who offended by this, I'm expressing my First Amendment as far as I'm concerned. As we move into mansions and own homes, we abandon the community. Blacks that escape poverty forget the struggle and let wealth divide the unity. They'd rather buy materialistic items than to feed the hungry, just spending money foolishly, rather than giving back and give young blacks an opportunity. The loyalty of blacks can be described as a ride or die. Most hate crime but live lifestyle and mean to provide. The odds are stacked against us and we can't find jobs, which leave us the option of being homeless or resorting to crime. The world can't tell us nothing because we think we know it all. For those who think guns can solve problems, ask the killers if that problem solved. Truthfully, using guns will cause your problems to never end, especially when people are constantly making amends to avenge their dead friends at someone else's expense. Take a glimpse. We're living in a world where friendship doesn't exist, we just pretend. Loyalty can be bought, which is why we betray our loved ones for a couple of million. The fake people gonna listen, but the real gonna hear and feel me. Just because someone convicted of a crime don't mean that they're guilty. We live in a world where the justice system is cruel and unfair. The innocent are in prison, but the guilty go free. Do the judges care? The lack of probable cause destroys the dreams of the dreamer. Some cops plant evidence and commit search and seizure or arrest procedures. Listen to the speaker. It's all it takes hope from the believer, causing them to commit crime and catch misdemeanors. Bulletproof vests are often used to protect flesh, but what's the defensive mechanism when you're feeling oppressed and face to face with a racist act that you detest? White supremacists came to my school to speak. Was this a test? My pain is mental, so this vest is useless. The human brain has too much intellect to let your thoughts be suppressed. The black race has too much promise to let the majority fall victim to arrest. This is because the black race doesn't truly love one another, but a united front as we use the Black Lives Matter movement as a cover. Some of us really care if we support the movement, while others could care less and take lives and could care less about the movement. Black lives are normally taken by another black life, at least 1 in 5, so it's prophesied that the more black live, the more blacks die. And we really care about black lives and stop taking black lives, because if every black dies, then the world itself will have to be revolutionized. Every bad cop that abuses their power should be handcuffed. Too many black lives taken away as their ashes hit the dust. And I had enough. Society continues to define us, which is why we need to stop letting statistics speak for us. Many blacks are made outcasts for reasons that aren't right. Lighter skin is accepted while darker skin is denied. Lighter skin is visible while darker skin is invisible to the race's eye. White is superior, black is inferior. That's the contrast between dark and light. So much going on in the world when they obsess with our skin, blaming us for our skin color when it's a result of melanin. With no hesitation, I die for what I believe in, and I believe that true love is judged by the heart rather than by the color of the skin. I keep my head up as Tupac said, the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, the darker the flesh, or the deeper the roots. Well, I'm living proof. Ancestry originated from Africa and extended its roots. Not only to stop the killing and call it the truth. Black Lives Matter movement doesn't stop black lives from being taken, so what's the use? Our own kind are turning a blind eye to the black lives that return to homicides when the police felt it was their time to die. That's because this topic has no true relevance and no repercussion as these lawful murderers face no consequence. Even though the police chiefs apologize for the acts of police brutality, don't let them confuse us. After the Black Lives Matter movement was made, even more lives were took. They refused us. When the people tasked with defending the nation are against you, who can you trust? We have to protect black lives in memory of the ones looking down on us. The acts of police brutality are actually being commended, and yet the officers of these actions go unapprehended. God wanted brethren to deal together in unity. This isn't what God intended. The enforcers of the law only protect their loved ones, which is why blacks are left defenseless. Should murderers be given a sentence when killing is relentless? Killing goes without cause, so we label it as senseless. Death is shocking to the brain and traumatizes the witness. The cycle of life being reduced to death is endless. Eagerly waiting to give us a sentence because arresting blacks is the mission. Happily imprisoning blacks like it's some kind of expedition. Uniting the nation to get rid of us like we're the competition. How do y'all expect us to survive with the world's harsh conditions? For instance, like because of the color of our skin, the police say we look suspicious. We didn't choose to be black, we were just born that way. The insults and unfair treatment had many blacks regretting their skin color every day. But I can honestly say I detest, in other words, I can't relate. Because if given the opportunity to change my ethnicity, I wouldn't change. You too will learn to embrace your ethnicity as you learn more and become smarter. I never wanted to change my ethnicity or my skin color. In fact, I used to wish that I was darker. For any black that regrets their skin color, pay attention and listen. We don't need jewelry to supplement our complexion. We are already efficient. But if you love yourself, continue to do it and live life to the fullest. I love blacks and whites. I have not said a truer thing than this. I honestly believe that blacks and whites can peacefully coexist, stronger together than apart. We can put America in a better predicament. But that would never happen if both sides continue to resist. The phony relationships today are as fake as counterfeit. Looks real on the outside, but on the inside it doesn't make sense. Too many children are hurting inside with the mindset that crying isn't fine, so the emotion that they have left to express is their pride, which is why they put on these fake facades and become blind to religion, so they're strangers to God. We see kids hurting all the time, but we continue to turn a blind eye and only open our hearts and our eyes after they commit suicide. Love is offensive, defensive is pride. Lack of compassion for others, where do these feelings reside? The resentment of a parent might be transparent, but we don't see what occurs when we're not in their presence. The kid can be treated right, but still have lack of compassion. Cruel treatment from friends can ignite hatred, and the parents don't realize what's happening. A lot of school shooters shoot up schools because they're having a bad day, but while they live to see another, the victim passes away. These school shooters don't see the severity of the consequences that they face. We learn from others, and brutal police officers are making them feel that it's okay. They don't have the sense to listen, so they're harder to convince. And for this reason alone, they say ignorance is bliss. So at peace with our own demons, we sometimes sit and reminisce. Can't save yourself from destruction if your soul falls into the abyss. Change will never come if we remain at peace with our ignorance. I try to be optimistic, and yet I don't see the world getting any better. Interracial relations are tested by racist acts, and their bonds are severed. The application of hatred finds the soreness of love and applies pressure. Let me explain this in a way that is relatable to some and clever. Like a machine gun, we need to rapidly express ourselves in our endeavor. But the fear of rejection silences our words like a suppressor. Don't build your foundation on negativity, because when this emotion disperses, what's going to be left holding you together? Remember the Titan? Well, after I die, I want to be a Titan that's remembered. Don't be impressed by this. I've been rapping since I was 6. One word to describe this moment is informative. I'm the informant informing you, so consider yourself advised. Let's all learn to love one another and peacefully coexist before all of us die.
Yes. Yes, sir. What is your name? Your name? I want him on it.
Deanwar Coleman.
All right, all right.